Hey guys, Seedoeatreview here. Look at that. I've got about 8 t-shirts all in the wash at the moment. And I'm with Tom Witcombe. Tom, I'm going to ask you a question straight off. Do Toms have an agenda against Seedoeatreview?
Why? What have you heard? What's leaked from the meetings?
Tom Witcombe, I'm interviewing right now. We'll get to that. I interviewed Tom Witcombe last week, and I'm dealing with Tom Wayland as well. So when Seedoeatreview writes interview with Tom W on the calendar, it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and you gotta see. Isn't Tom Witcombe like a big mime guy, a clown? Is that what his thing is?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And Tom Wayland is a magician.
Okay, good. We've got the full spectrum of semi-skills,
Yes.
stand-up comedy, almost arts. Between the
Oh,
three of us.
and I just looked, I was like, dude, now you got to rock up and see which Tom rocks up because I don't know who it is.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you're like, I enjoyed Tom's show, but there was surprisingly little magic, I thought.
It's doing my head. I was like, which Tom is it today?
Not a single rabbit in the whole
No.
show. Crazy.
Anyway, Tom Witcombe, tell everyone, what are you bringing to the Adelaide Fringe this week? 4, 5 shows only?
5 shows
Yes.
at the Howling Owl at 9:45. I'm doing my first ever Adelaide Fringe stand-up comedy show. I've done 2 festival hours at the Sydney Comedy Festival the last 2 years. This will be my 3rd hour, but the first time in the beautiful state of South Australia.
Lovely. How long have you been going about the comedy scene?
About 5 years, going on 6.
5 years going on 6. And what are you going to bring this year? The show's called Problematic, guys. What are you bringing to the show this year with Problematic?
Problematic is a series of jokes that would be described by problematic by somebody, which is, doesn't really narrow anything down these days, potentially. It's a lot of jokes. I guess the whole thing I'm trying to work on is just finding the right people who are happy to come to a show and have lines crossed from time to time and don't mind that, or dare I say even like it occasionally.
I was watching some of your work. I just cackled, not evilly, I cackled. I found it probably going to be a few abrasive to some people. Would that be a term I could use? Abrasive?
Absolutely. If the wrong people are there, it will be very abrasive.
And I was thinking, have you seen people walk out of your shows and stuff with that edgy humour that will cut people the wrong way?
Not very often.
Okay, good.
Not that often. Maybe I just don't pay attention. Maybe I just stare at the people in the front row and ignore everyone who's easing their way out the back.
Yes.
Look, I think the thing I'm trying to do is just make sure that everyone who's in the room is there for the right reason. And I think if they're the kind of people who don't want to hear that stuff, then they don't want to be there and I don't want them there either, and that's totally fine. And it's just about trying to get that. That's kind of the reason I named the show. This was Problematic. Last year was Ignorant. The year before that was Amoral. I'm just kind of hoping people can kind of clue from the name whether it'll be their thing or not.
You're a very fancy looking poster. You're going to be rocking up in a suit like that?
Sure will be. I thought about wearing it here, but I'm already wearing a suit for the next 5 months.
No, don't do that.
Dress up for you?
No, don't dress up for me. I went to a Reading Reception Fringe show yesterday, rocking up in a flannel shirt and t-shirt, and I didn't know everyone got into the spirit of it, dressing up in suits for the wedding. So I stood out a little far.
Wait, so someone's getting married as part of their Fringe show?
It's a Fringe show that's based around a wedding. So.
Is it, how many nights are they doing it?
Ooh, about 10.
Do they get divorced the next day every day?
No, it's all part of the fun, but rocking up in a flannel is probably not the way to go about it. Anyway, this is the Seedoeatreview uniform. We should be getting back onto your shows. Tell people, what edgy humour do you bring? You bring the girlfriend humour, the grandma humour,
Yeah, I've got to balance the family stuff because they'll stop coming. And my girlfriend is now my fiancée, and almost wasn't because of all the jokes that she aimed at her. Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm trying to get less personal because it does cause fights.
Okay.
I guess it's more kind of like, from my perspective, it's the stuff that is kind of universal in that relationships, sex, death, illness, that's the stuff. I think the stuff that's edgy is often the stuff that we all have in common, and that's the thing that kind of makes it a bit sensitive.
I love the borderline humour though, because everything's become a bit safe now. How do you found travelling those distances? Like, you're not being racist or anything, don't get us wrong, guys. It's just the humour that's like, it's like, this is Amos Gill territory here.
I love Amos Gill.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm a big fan.
So that's where I find it's like the edginess of it all.
Yeah, and I think what Amos does really well, as does like the Jim Jeffries Howleys and the Anthony Jeselniks or whatever, all of these guys that do that stuff really well, is it's a joke.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that can be hard, especially when you're new into it, is some people are going on stage, and there are people who legitimately go on stage and just say horrific things they really believe.
Okay.
It's not many, but they're out there,
Yeah.
and you can't blame a crowd for thinking like, wait a minute, does he really mean all
Yeah,
this
yeah,
shit?
I got you.
So it's about, like, for me, like, the hardest part of I've found, or like the growing pains, has been how do you make it so clear to people that we're fooling around, we're just kind of having a good time. And I think, this is the way that I joke with my mates back at home, and trying to make everyone feel like they're your mates and they're in on the joke the whole time.
Sydney boy,
How
is the comedy scene looking in Sydney? Is it packed?
It's great. Sydney comedy scene's excellent. I think Sydney and Melbourne, there's always a bit of rivalry. I think Sydney's the best in Australia. And then we get to do that thing of like the best in the Southern Hemisphere because nothing else exists in the Southern Hemisphere. Take that, Johannesburg.
I'm an old Melbourne boy.
Okay.
So, I've grown up to not be friends with Sydney people. I'm being polite about it.
No, I
but
know.
Yes, I understand. You going to the Melbourne Comedy Festival?
I am. This first year, I did the Raw National Final a couple of years ago. That was my first foray into the Melbourne Comedy Festival. First time doing my own show there this year.
Yep.
Which will be interesting because I think, like coming to Adelaide, city of churches, there might be a lot of God-fearing Christians with some morals I might be pressing up against. Sydney and Melbourne, truly godless places.
Yes.
So
Yes.
should be all right there.
Should be fun. You tried this show elsewhere, or did you just bring it to Adelaide like for the first time trying out this stuff? Or were you a test subject?
No, I've done two trials, not as many as I would have liked, but I've done a trial in Canberra and a trial in Sydney, so it's somewhat road tested. It'll probably be a little bit more polished by Wednesday than Tuesday and Thursday than Wednesday, but hey, come and see me learn on the fly.
See how we go with it all. What are your dates and times, mate?
It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so I think that's the 14th to the 18th of March, 9:45 at the Howling Owl, where we are right now.
Right now,
but
nice
not
place.
currently open, given there's a race in Adelaide somewhere, and apparently that gets you a day off.
Guys, it's a public holiday, right? Like, the East End is chock-a-block. And I said, Tom, we'll meet here. Howling Owl's sure to be open. No. Anyway, it's a nice venue. Look at that. We're outside. The weather's beautiful. You can catch Tom, 9:45. If you're in the army, it's 21:45 from Tuesday to Saturday. I'll be seeing you sometime later down the track. Tom, good luck with it all, guys. Come and support local talent and check him out.
Thanks, Craig.
Craig? Shane?
Craig. Craig's the other guy.
We put that on the bloopers reel.